Alright, so what's up, Retro Dogs? We're kind of starting a new series. We're kind of experimenting right now with, one of our passions. We love film, we love watching movies and stuff.
So what are we gonna call this? Is it Red Letter Media?
Red Letter Media
Retro
ripoff.
Retrodad's review
Retro Letter Media.
Let's just say Retrodad's movie reviews.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
Okay,
Why
so
not?
we'll still shop. We'll figure out.
We'll workshop it.
This was an idea you and I had a while back.
Mm-hmm.
I know you started this YouTube channel back during 2010, during the COVID days.
The dark ages. Uh-huh.
But one thing we've been doing has been watching a lot of movies.
That's
and
right.
stuff. And as you're getting older, there's been movies that that things that I grew up watching.
Right.
Now you get to experience it, and I like rewatching those.
Yeah.
But there was something that was in some news articles the other day. It's been a while ago. We talked about this, where they're saying that teenagers don't like to watch movies, and I was wondering what your thoughts on that.
I've actually sort of experienced this firsthand because obviously I'm a teenager. I go to high school and everything like that, and a lot of teenagers just don't watch older movies. If they were to watch a movie, it's usually, the newer ones. Like, Dune 2 just came out. A lot of kids have seen that.
Okay, so they're still seeing movies.
So they still see movies, but I don't know. They don't watch the old stuff for whatever reason.
Okay.
Maybe just not. Because, obviously you're, showing me a lot of them.
Yeah.
I'm kind of discovering them through you. I'm not discovering them sort of organically. Because, I wasn't born in the 80s,
Yeah.
So it wasn't presented to me like it was presented to you. And it's kind of funny how I'll make like a movie reference or something like that, and no one will understand me, and I feel like a total freak.
Film nerd.
Yeah, this guy. One kid was.
But your teachers get the references, right?
Yes, occasionally a teacher will be like, "Oh, yeah, I think I made a reference to Starship Troopers."
Oh man.
And they're like, "Oh yeah," and everyone's like, "What is wrong
But
with this guy?"
you say that, like Dune 2 is a good example. So you have friends who watch that, but
Yeah.
it does seem like there's right now I guess because of 2020 and COVID, the movie business has kind of gone down a little bit, and there hasn't been a lot to see. But there's been a lot of stuff that's been straight to streaming as well. So are
that's
do you
probably
think
a big
do you
part
think
of
they're
it.
watching those, or because what I've read on some of the articles is that because you're like the TikTok generation, and which means you're only consuming media at like 1 or 2 minutes at a time, and so this long form, do teenagers your age have the time and patience to go through like an hour and a half, 2 hour movie if they don't know if it's good or not?
Well, that's the issue, is that we have very little, patience, when watching stuff, very little, whatever it's called, span, whatever.
Attention span.
Attention span.
So if you waste 2 minutes, who cares? It's just 2 minutes, right? But I think I find the same thing because it's been about 2 years since we've switched to all streaming. We got rid of cable.
Yeah.
And even I have found it's difficult to find stuff to watch. And so I keep reverting back to old stuff and dragging you along
it's
with
good. It's like a restaurant, Yeah. You're gonna have a good experience, but it's all the same,
Yeah. So I don't know. It's just weird, because movies has always been like a big part of my life growing up, and I remember when my dad brought home our very first VCR, and also a bunch of copied movies, and piracy. Well, we did, because actually at that time the movies were pretty expensive. I actually did a little bit of research on this. That's why I got my laptop here. But at the time in 1985 when Ghostbusters came out, that cost about $80.
Wow.
Their money.
Wow.
So that means that was $230 today.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
And actually, my dad actually bought us a copy of Ghostbusters for Christmas.
Yeah.
And I think I watched that movie every day maybe sometimes twice a day for
Yeah.
like months.
Right.
Like I could quote every single thing.
Yeah.
But that was, but I wonder because thinking about it was for us it was the availability. We didn't have as much movies. I mean, like they were there, but it was it cost too much to buy it, and so we rented a lot of movies.
Mhm.
But we rented, probably every weekend we would go and rent a movie because it was cheaper. Because it only
Yeah.
cost like $5 to $6
Right.
versus buying it. So I do wonder with all the streaming, you have so many choices in
Mhm.
front of you. I just wonder, does that hurt? Does that
I
keep you
mean,
from like you have
yeah.
access to all these movies, but maybe that's kind of one reason why we were thinking about maybe doing this because now we can like highlight
Some movies to
movies
watch.
that
Yeah.
that your generation could go back and watch and not feel like
Yeah.
they're wasting their time.
Right. Yeah.
um, but yeah, I mean, but yeah, renting movies was a big thing for us. We didn't actually go to the movies much. I can
Mhm.
actually probably count the number of times I actually went to the movie theater. Like with my I never went to the movie theater with my mom.
Yeah.
My dad took me. I can remember at least 3 movies, and one was the first Batman movie with Michael Keaton.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so saw that one. And I remember seeing Jurassic Park,
Mhm.
and I remember Starship Troopers. Of course, I was like in high school
Yeah.
at the time, so we didn't. So actually, it was more renting the movies was a bigger deal than and experiencing all those. And of course, sometimes it took over a year before like a movie came
Came
out,
out. Yeah.
before we could actually watch it. So, but yeah, that's so yeah. I was just wondering like the attention span thing is one thing, but I do
Mhm.
wonder, because like, do you want to waste an hour and a half, 2 hours of your time,
Right.
and you have, and maybe like for me, I'm like paralyzed when I look through I sit there through like HBO Max or Netflix, and there's just so much crap
Right.
there
Oh
too.
yeah. Yeah. There's a lot. There's a lot to shovel through. You know.
And like how do you filter what's good or
Yeah. It's
not?
like Shudder.
Well, yeah. Like I said, recently, I paid for a subscription on Shudder because I wanted to watch a movie on there, and I was like, oh, it's gonna have some good horror classics that we
Right.
can
Yeah.
watch.
Oh, all the classics there. You know.
Because Linda and I have started getting into a lot of the horror movies,
Yeah.
which hopefully some of those that we're gonna review at some
Right.
point.
Dead Alive. Let's
Yeah,
go.
I know, Dead Alive.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, I mean, but going through that, like there wasn't really anything that was good. I mean, it
Yeah.
was. I think there was like maybe some cult classics on it, but not anything that I grew up watching.
There's a lot of B movies.
Yeah, there's a lot of like stuff that would go like late at night, maybe on the Sci-Fi Channel, which I
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
which I don't know, does the Sci-Fi Channel still exist today? I don't know
I
since
don't
we don't
know.
have cable.
I used to watch when we had cable. I used to watch like Twilight Zone on there.
So,
But
so this is my question though. So we have this. We wanted to start this podcast to like rediscover some movies for
Yeah.
your generation. Then why in the hell are you having me review Super Mario Brothers? The
okay.
movie
alright.
that like destroyed my childhood.
Okay. So the thing is, I feel like this was a good sort of segue, right?
Yeah. Mm.
I felt like it was.
Garbage.
I felt like it was kind of a good segue.
Okay.
You know, cause like before this, it was all video games, and obviously I'm gonna keep doing video games. I'm not
Yep.
gonna stop this. This is just sort of another series to do together. But like I feel like people, a lot of people watch my my video game reviews and everything like that. They're probably gonna be interested in seeing what I have to say about this horrible, horrible movie.
Why aren't we reviewing the Chris Pratt movie instead?
Because that one is worse.
No, it's not. I'd like to know why you think it's worse. Actually,
Okay, all right.
I guess we can get into
Let's
that.
get into it. Yeah.
I guess. Well, so I guess before we get into the review, I guess maybe we should set the stage a little bit.
Mhm.
I mean, I everyone should know Mario Brothers at
Right.
this point,
Yeah.
right?
If you don't, you're living under a rock.
Yeah, but I guess I don't know. I guess what I'm saying, I got some theories about why it was so bad,
Okay.
and it also bombed. I actually looked this up. So the movie,
Yeah.
it cost at the time. I don't know. I just looked this up.
Yeah.
Who knows what numbers are right? But it said $38.9 million to make it. That was the
Yeah.
that's how much. Actually, $38.9 million is what they made. on a budget of 42 to 48
Right,
million.
yeah.
So if you pick the highest number, they lost almost $10 million
Right.
depending which number you use. They may have gotten some of that back on rentals, and maybe some people bought it. I mean, we did.
I mean,
We just
yeah.
did, but I only paid $4 on
Yeah.
Amazon.
It's because Nintendo's
2
trying to
weeks ago.
bury it.
Well,
It's
that's
on no streaming services.
well, that is interesting. Do you think they are? I mean, because
Oh, absolutely. I think so. It's so bad. It made me never want to buy a Nintendo game again.
But I mean, wouldn't it? I mean, it hasn't hit cult classic yet, or a cult following. Are there people who are like buying up limited edition Mario
I mean,
movies?
Anyone who's talking about it is making fun of it.
Yeah.
Like us.
Yeah.
Anyone who's buying it or watching it is for the sole purpose of like a, best of the worst, so bad it's good movie. I don't know if
But-
I'd call it so bad it's good.
But I mean, again, they went into this wanting to make a good movie. Well, I guess give a little bit of background of Mario and maybe my history with it, and then we can go into the review, and then I'll give you my theory
Okay.
on why I think it's so bad. And I'm sorry if I'm looking at my screen because I want to make sure I get
it's
my
all good.
notes right. But of course, my first introduction. Let me think about it. The Nintendo came out in the winter of like 85.
Mhm.
Okay, I was 5 years old. I was in preschool, and I knew no one who had this thing.
Yeah.
At that time, I still had an Atari 2600, which you reviewed some
Oh, yeah.
games for.
I'm familiar
And,
with
yeah,
that one.
you're familiar with that one. But also, one you haven't done any reviews for is the Commodore 64, and that was had better graphics and of course, it was a computer.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, again, at that time, even though everyone talks about the game market crash of like '82 and how E.T. ruined games,
video
it actually
games.
wasn't. I mean, I lived through that, and actually, it was great because I can buy Atari games for like $5 or
Right,
$1.
yeah.
So I collected a lot. So everyone was still playing games. It's just maybe the publishers just weren't making as much money as they thought they
Yeah.
could. So maybe that's really what the crash was. But I actually didn't. Get introduced to the Nintendo until about 3 years later. It was like the Christmas of '88. So I was 8 years old at the time, and that's when, about 7.5, and my cousin got it.
Mhm.
And I remember at the time, if you looking at the Atari games and then playing the first Mario game for the first time, it's like a game changer.
Right,
I think
yeah.
you could see that. I mean,
Looking into the future.
yeah. I mean, it was very different, and so it blew my mind. But it was expensive,
Right.
and so I didn't get it to the following year until I think it was like 80. What did I say? I think it was like 88. I think is when I got it. Christmas of '88. At that time, a few months earlier, they'd come out with the action pack. They got rid of when they first started selling. They had that Rob the Robot
Yeah,
guy. And it came with a zapper, and it had a dual game like
Zapper
Gyromite, or I don't know how you pronounce it,
yeah.
and whatnot, and then they switched it over to this, and so they actually had the Mario and Duck Hunt, and so this is this came with it and 2 controllers, and at that time, I actually looked up an old Toys R Us ad,
Yeah.
and at that time it was $110, so that would be $280 today.
Wow.
And then games at the time were $49 a piece, which would be and which would be $125 today.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how games didn't actually change in price for a long time. It wasn't until like 2006 until they actually went to $59, which is
Yeah.
what we kind of have today. Although
Pretty much.
you see some special editions at like $69.
I mean, yeah, they have like the Call of Duty stuff that's like $200 now, but
Yeah. But yeah, I do remember, clearly going to Toys R Us, and because at the time I had the Commodore, and it'd be like an entire row
Yeah.
of games, and there was one little section of Nintendo games, and they were I remember it clearly, it was the black box games, the original. And I knew you started to collect some of those.
Yeah.
They were the first run, but the rest was all Commodore games, and then within a year, it had completely switched. It was all Nintendo games, and there was just a small little section of Commodore games.
Right.
And at that point, I was like, I begged my parents for
Yeah.
a Nintendo, and so they gave it to the Christmas of that. And I think I got this, and I think I got Rad Racer.
Oh.
It wasn't till several months later did I buy the first Zelda game.
Yeah.
But I got into it late. I mean, as in at that time, so again, it'd be a couple years later did the Super Nintendo come out. So,
Mm-hmm.
but consoles kind of lasted a lot longer than maybe today. Although
Right.
I
Maybe.
don't know that now with the new Xbox series, they
Yeah.
haven't really. They just keep upgrading the hardware, but you
Right.
can still play the
Yeah.
old games.
Yeah.
So it's very different. So, but yeah, that's kind of the background. I just want to set the stage of Mario was, again, I was probably when I got my Nintendo, I was in the second grade.
Mm-hmm.
So think of that. That's when I first got introduced, and I have a feeling that the Mario movies was trying to target my generation.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
I'll get into more of why I think the movie it is. But
Yeah.
I'd like to hear your thoughts about this movie.
So, I was utterly confused. Okay. Sort of like the first big video game movie, you know?
I looked it up.
Yeah.
So there weren't. They claim on. Okay, this is Wikipedia, but but they claim it's like the first video game movie, which I guess, sort of. They had some movies before that, but I guess they weren't exactly going with the story of the game. But
Mhm.
Mario never really had a story
Right.
to begin with.
Well,
That's why
yeah.
I don't understand. Okay, I mean, I guess Save the Princess, so that's the story.
Yeah.
And I guess that's what the movie is as well, right?
Well, yeah, see, it's a very, very simple sort of premise,
Yeah.
Giant, dragon, turtle monster kidnaps a princess, and Mario goes after, saves the princess, right?
Yeah.
Very simple. You can turn that into a movie, expand upon that, but why'd they make it like a futuristic dystopia type thing?
I got a theory on that, but I'll get to it. But
Okay.
getting back to the movies again, the
Yeah.
games, like another movie that you watched with me when you were really young was no, I was about to say War Games, not War Games.
No.
It was Cloak and Dagger.
Oh boy. I've got that takes me back. That takes me back.
I remember so much the one scene.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know how old you were, but we were watching it, and there was that one scene where the guys like bust through the
He
window.
bust through the window, and I like jumped. I remember that, and I remember I think one guy died, and I was like,
there was like
oh
blood
my
and,
gosh!
like people. And
I was like, wait, is he gonna come back to life?
And I think the kid in that movie killed some people too.
He did, yeah. I specifically remember that scene because like he killed some people because he thought they killed his imaginary friend or whatever.
Yeah, who was like also looked exactly like his dad.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, but then
Sorry,
he like reappeared.
spoilers.
Oh, my bad. My bad.
Spoilers.
If you really want to watch Cloak and Dagger,
Now, honestly, Cloak and Dagger is a really good game. I mean, movie,
I love it.
and we might have to go back and review that.
Yeah,
but,
we might.
But again, he had an Atari game. Now, it was actually, I think it was a 5200 game that was never released. And Cloak and Dagger. And Cloak and Dagger was an arcade game at the time.
Yeah.
But it was all about secret plans being stashed.
It was
right?
all about like a secret agent,
Yeah.
collecting plans and stuff. But like, yeah,
But you wouldn't classify that as a video game movie just because it had a video game in it. Because I guess the game, because even Cloak and Dagger, you played the arcade game, and it's not much of a story there either.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure in the arcade game, it's like the secret agent goes into like some sort of lair in like the mountains or something, and that has nothing to do with the movie.
Nothing to do with it. But then even before that, another movie which I believe because again this movie came out in 1993. Let's think of, and I'll get into why that date is really important. 1993. Before that, The Wizard.
Right. Yeah.
So The Wizard, was probably the first time Nintendo kind of did something with the movies. I guess because that's when they. That was well before this because they introduced Super Mario Brothers 3 for the first time in there. But I guess you wouldn't consider that a video game movie either because it just had video games in it. I guess it would be the same thing as saying Tron is a video game movie because he worked in an arcade and got sucked into the arcade computer or something like that.
Yeah, but I'd say Cloak and Dagger is closer to a video game movie because it kind of.
But why not Tron then? Because like they're actually playing
So
video
so
games.
is Tron.
But I guess those games didn't exist. They made the video games later. I guess the whole.
Right.
I mean, there were always games that was like Snakes, or like Surround.
Yeah.
You know that the racers are just like Surround on the
Yeah.
Atari
Yeah.
2600,
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
but I guess but Wikipedia didn't count that as a video game adaptation.
movie.
But I guess Tron didn't really have the Tron game till later, maybe. So I guess
yeah.
this is the first movie that's taking the thin plot of saving a princess, which that's never been done before.
I mean, it has
Princess
Mario.
Bride.
Yeah. I mean, that's just, almost every story has something like that. But, like, it has Mario and it has Luigi, and that's where it ends.
And it has awesome video game graphics at the beginning.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, I completely forgot about that because I was so not connected to the story. It was like, well, should we start off?
Go ahead.
Yeah, basically, like, the whole sort of plot is like, it's like the meteor came. Obviously, the meteor came and killed all the dinosaurs, right? And then mammals evolved into humans. But in an alternate universe, the meteor, I guess, killed all the mammals.
No, I think it just passed by.
Or passed by,
something
and
like
the
that,
dinosaurs evolved into humans.
Something like that.
Basically.
Yeah.
And so, like, in this...
Well, maybe it did kill the mammals. I guess I never thought. I thought in the intro it just missed them, and it was like that was. But
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I don't know, because there's one city, right, and that's the Mushroom Kingdom or whatever, and then everything else is like a barren wasteland.
Which is kind of funny, right? So if everything is the opposite, right? So like the entire Earth was mammals, and then you would think there'd be something opposite. There'd be one place that's desolate, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what they picked as the desolate whatever area is New York City.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be interesting. Yeah.
So I find that interesting how
right.
Yeah, because you're right, because Dino Planet or whatever you want to call it, it was just a Dino Land.
I don't know.
Whatever I can't remember what they call it. Koopa Town.
Koopa King. I
don't know,
remember.
but you're right. I forgot about that. It was just one area, and everything else was just desert.
Yeah.
Right after that, so.
Well, it's very confusing. They even messed that up. I don't know how they messed that up, because he de-evolved people, and they would turn into mushrooms and plants.
You may think of evolution as an upward process. Things evolve from primeval slime up to single-cell organisms, up to intelligent life.
He de-evolves Peach's father, and he's like that clump of seaweed.
Oh yeah. Well,
and so it's like
no, he was like a ball of snot or something like that. But
and he was somehow spread across the entire city.
I know that was
It was very confusing. So it's like I don't understand. So it's
he was supposed to be a fungus.
Right.
Right. So he de-evolved a fungus.
So is it called the Mushroom Kingdom?
It is the Mushroom Kingdom. So I guess fungus and mushrooms are this.
Yeah.
So that was the plot twist.
Yeah.
You just gave away more spoilers.
Oh,
so
my bad.
That this thing was the king the whole time.
Yeah.
And he was this big ball of snot that
just
come down.
drooping from the sand. He's like, this is your father. And she's like, what? But it's confusing. So it's like I don't understand how the evolution process works. It's ball of snot, dinosaur, dinosaur person.
Well, I guess maybe if they were mushroom people, I guess we never saw them, maybe. I think everyone evolved to look like humans.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like that Star Trek episode in Next Generation we watched.
Oh,
where they all de-evolved, and Worf de-evolved into a targ.
Yeah,
attacking people.
Yeah.
I think it's the same thing. So everyone will de-evolve to a different state. And so I guess some of these will de-evolve to mushrooms, while the other ones all apparently de-evolved to look exactly the same kind of reptile thing.
I think those were supposed to be Goombas.
Are they supposed to be Goombas?
But they were clearly
Turtles
dinosaurs or something, even though Goombas in the game are clearly mushrooms.
Like walking mushrooms?
Yeah. But in this one, they're these tall, stocky...
What are the turtles
dinosaur
called,
things?
What are
the Koopas?
Yeah, the Koopas. So yeah, so So they didn't even get the naming right. That's.
I don't know. It's very confusing.
De-evolution, of course, works the opposite way. Back to simpler forms. For instance, even our musical friend Toad can become a loyal child of the royal family. Goombas.
Why'd you do that to him? No, no! Oh, not now.
So Ball of Snot and Mario and Luigi gets transported. And
Wait, Ball of Snot?
Oh yeah, the Ball of Snot is the king, and
Yeah.
but like the princess is actually human.
Yeah.
Right. That's what we learned in the beginning. Like she comes over and she's like left at the doorstep of some church, and and it has a tail. No, am I forgetting what happened at the beginning? Oh, it was an egg.
It was an egg.
They
Yeah,
dropped
it
off
was
an egg. Oh,
yeah.
so she wasn't human then.
No, she wasn't human.
Oh, I'm getting the new movie mixed up.
Chris Pratt. I still need to explain why that one's worse.
Because that she was human and then went over, and this
Somehow.
one she's still an evolved dinosaur,
Yeah.
I guess, and came out of an egg that the nuns had
nuns
no
raised.
problem with.
Just like, oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's
No
natural.
problem.
Yeah, you just come out of a giant egg. Okay.
Yep. That's
Okay, so
So they establish with this like pixel-y graphics, terrible looking graphics. It looks like it was made in MS Paint.
yeah.
Might I add.
But I mean that was high tech graphics at the time.
A long, long time ago, the Earth was ruled by dinosaurs. They were big, so not a lot of people went around hassling them. Actually, no people went around hassling them because there weren't any people yet. Just the first tiny mammals. Basically, life was good.
It just don't get no better than this.
Yeah. Then something happened. A giant meteorite struck the Earth. Goodbye, dinosaurs. But what if the dinosaurs weren't all destroyed? What if the impact of that meteorite created a parallel dimension where the dinosaurs continue to thrive and evolve into intelligent, vicious, aggressive beings? Just like us.
I can't wait till you start
Yep.
talking about the stretchometer or whatever that thing was. So
The
I'll wait-
devolve, yeah.
the devolver stuff.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
but that was actually like apparently someone was talking about this on another
Yeah.
series or something like that, and how that was like cutting edge and no one had done that before.
Yeah.
So
maybe they should have waited a little longer.
a little bit more time to bake or cook
Yeah.
in the oven.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Naysay. Simon, de-evolve him now.
De-evolve. Cretaceous.
Our old king! You try to get rid of him, but the king is everywhere! You can't get rid of him!
See you later, alligator.
Ever!
But yeah, so we started off with they established the whole lore, and then we see Mario and Luigi, right?
Now I'm trying to think of the time period. I think at this time, the main actor was it Hoskins? Is his
Yep,
name?
Hoskins.
He was popular at the time because he had already done. I think at this point he had already done Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Mhm.
So I think he was actually casted pretty well. I mean, I think
so.
both him and the guy who played Luigi.
I think so. Yeah.
I think they casted them right, but it was just the story.
Yeah.
Was,
No, I think they were good. That was a good Mario. It was a good Luigi.
yeah.
Didn't they try and get like Tom Hanks?
I don't know. I think they tried to get a lot of different people.
Yeah.
But I think they casted him right. He had the look.
Yeah, he had the look.
So I think they did well on that. I mean, what do you think about, King Koopa himself or whatever?
I mean, he's a human, so I guess if Bowser were to be human form, I mean, I don't know.
He always played the bad guy and all that stuff. He also played the bad guy. I fail to remember the guy's name right now, but he played in another movie called Waterworld with Kevin Costner, which was also a big bomb.
Yeah.
And he was like the bad guy
right.
in that, and so that was so it's interesting. He played a lot of those bad guy dystopian future movies apparently.
But
maybe just the two. I don't know.
Yeah. But I mean, he was supposed to in
Dennis
this
Hopper.
one, Dennis Hopper. Yeah. In this one, he's supposed to be like a big boss man who, like, he's so rich he just runs the city.
And the plot twist is he's a T-Rex, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, because he was like, if I de-evolve you, you're just gonna be a lowly mushroom.
Yeah.
If I de-evolve myself, I'm gonna be the king of the dinosaurs or something like that.
Yeah.
And that was like one of the parts of it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess he kind of looks the part. You know, he's supposed to be. Yeah, I don't know. He's supposed to be like the big boss man. You know, he runs the whole city because he's just rich and he just runs everything. I think he's also like the mayor or something.
Well, I think he just runs everything. I
Yeah.
don't know. But what? So
It's like a Kim Jong-un situation.
I think it definitely is. Yeah. So I mean, what else in the plot do we need to know about before we get into your review?
So let's see. So there's the normal.
Don't forget about the shoes.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, obviously jumping and stomping on the enemies' heads. That's a big part of the Mario games.
So we had to include it somehow,
RPG.
right? But there was no jumping on people.
No.
And there was no hitting. Was there a block they ever hit?
I can't remember. There might have been like a little nod.
But it was so obvious, like the way they were flying in the air, that it was just like, I don't know. It was they were
so
completely
bad.
stationary and just moving.
Yeah.
I don't think they even used wires. They're probably just on a platform, and they just moved the platform down.
Yeah.
It
was like yeah, they get these like, it's almost like the power fist from Fallout, but like for like a shoe.
Yeah.
So like it'll like launch you up, and like that was like.
I just don't
It's
understand
so stupid.
how practical they were. So bulky.
Yes.
I mean, the way they walked around.
They're like the platform shoes. That like the like.
What was their high five? They were like, what was that? That was like in the trailer, and it's oh god, and they made a big deal about that, and they only jumped like 2 times because that was and that probably took
escape once.
that probably took like $20 million of their budget to do that or something like that.
You want to give us the rock bag lady?
Come and get it, big boy.
So yeah, they basically just go and they like escape, right? And that's about it.
Yeah, with the shoes.
Yeah,
They like
escape.
jump
That's
into
how
the
they get
wasteland
away.
or something.
Yeah, and then what else happened that was worth mentioning?
Let's see.
I think they eventually fight Koopa at the end.
Yeah, and they have there's a little wind-up toy Bob-omb. Remember that?
I forgot about the Bob-omb.
It was funny.
And they would always freak out about it. It's like this
Like,
little
whoa!
Whoa!
Oh, get that away from me! It's like this little wind-up toy. Like, it's clearly like a little wind-up toy. Like, it had like the feet moving, you know?
You just go dink and knock it. Oh, yeah. It was.
Yeah.
That was another $1 million budget
Yep,
for that
yep.
special effects.
Messed up again, mammal.
the clubbing scene.
The clubbing scene.
You don't remember that?
What was the clubbing scene?
It was like they're in this like club, and for whatever reason, Mario starts dancing with the overweight lady.
Oh, is that when they start, doing the dinosaur?
Yes, that is. Yes. Yep.
Get on the floor, everybody
Oh
do
my
the
gosh.
dinosaur.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
they had to have that song in it.
Yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure.
But when I think of Mario Brothers, I actually never think of dinosaurs. Yeah, I think that's the one thing.
Think of
I know.
mushrooms more.
I know, like Koopa is like a lizard. I never really thought of him as a
Yeah.
dinosaur.
And I mean, there's Yoshi.
Yeah,
but-
yeah. So that kind of gets into it. I mean, this movie was made in 1993. The Super Nintendo had been out for 2 years, so so the game at the time was Super Mario World at the
Right.
time. So that's how they did have the reference to Yoshi. So
He was just a full blown dinosaur, just like a little
yeah,
raptor.
Yeah. So it was different. But again, like they didn't really pull on anything from the video games. But how could you? I guess because like how would you make?
Yeah.
I mean, how would you other than like I mean. Everything they did in the new movie kind of makes sense. It kind of goes back because it looks like a video game because you can animate it.
Right.
But how would you do? I mean, how would you do a live action movie any different in '93
That's-
when you don't have any video game? You don't have the way to do CGI.
Right.
Jurassic Park hadn't come out yet, which was
Yeah.
like the first big blown thing. I mean, I know they
Yeah.
had Star Wars and all that kind of stuff, but they didn't really have any. But that was using practical effects for the most part. What could they have done
I mean,
here?
So that's a fair point, but at the same time, why did they immediately go to, let's just do like a dystopia sort of
So
like.
can I get into my theory
Sure,
now?
let me hear it.
Okay, so my theory on this, think about this. It came out in '93. Okay, and if the target audience was me, and the whole reason why I'm wearing this, right, is because in '93 a lot has changed. The Sega Genesis was out, the console wars were going on. I actually jumped ship from Super Nintendo and I bought a Sega Genesis because I thought
Genesis, yeah.
Sonic was faster because Sega does what Nintendo don't.
Okay.
But yeah, so that was a big thing, and so, but also think about the tastes at that time. It was we were in the middle of Nirvana and Pearl Jam.
Ooh.
Everything was grungy and stuff like that. So
That's true.
and also what came out. So at that time, I looked this up. The #1 arcade game was NBA Jam. The game before that in the arcades was Mortal Kombat.
Right.
And so in '93, they released Mortal Kombat on the consoles. And so and that was the first M-rated game.
Right.
So all the games that my generation had, we started off with the cute Nintendo games,
Yeah.
but we were now, grown up. So we were
Right. Moving into an edgy phase.
yeah, we were edgy. Can you see how
Yeah.
edgy I am right now? So I would have been wearing this at that time.
Right.
So would I have gone and seen a cute Mario movie? I think that they thought, hey, look, this is what the audience wants. They remember Mario from their youth, but we need to make Mario edgy somehow
Right.
and relatable somehow. I don't know.
Yeah.
The other interesting thing about this is I looked up the directors of this movie. I don't know their names, but they were also the creators of Max Headroom. The guy that's like,
Oh, yeah.
They make reference to that in the Back to the Future
Right,
movie,
yeah.
the Ronald Reagan version
Yeah,
of him.
yeah.
But yeah, and they did music videos.
Mm-hmm.
So they purposely selected these directors,
Hmm.
I think to give that edge. And I think Nintendo's like, oh, there's no way you can ruin the Mario franchise. So do whatever
Right,
you want.
yeah. They gave the okay to his new look.
But I
the
think
edgy-
the Japanese just don't. I mean, that's why there's a Nintendo of America because
Right, yeah.
they never quite understood the American audience, so they needed help
Yeah,
to
I guess there's a
translate and stuff
divide
like
right
that.
there, yeah.
So they just thought this is what Americans want.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe, but I just feel like knowing at that time, I had just bought Mortal Kombat. I'm playing that, I'm
Are you
listening.
gonna switch
I'm listening.
over to
I'm listening to my Pearl Jam.
Yeah.
Hey, there's a Mario movie coming out, and I'm like, well, it's like, well, I mean, and I did see it in the movie theater.
Yeah.
I mean, it still got me to go because at that time I think the Game Boy was still popular and stuff like that. So, and again, we were still playing the games, even though I didn't have a Super Nintendo, people were still playing Mario World. I mean, that came with the Super Nintendo, and that went on for several years. But yeah, I just feel like it was Sega and the how they were appealing to this new generation, this grungy generation. So let's make this grungy. Let's make Mario grungy, and that's why I think it's set in a dystopian future.
I think that makes sense. And now it just kind of looks weird because like they went back to the more cutesy Mario look. So looking back, you're like, what the heck is going on? It's just so out of place for Mario.
But But I also looked this up because back in 1990, 3 years earlier, they created a lot of movies for kids were always a little edgy. If you actually, I've shown you some of them, right?
Yeah.
And think of in 1990, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie came out, and think of when you look at that movie, it is not cute at all. I mean,
they kill Shredder at the
I
end.
know. I mean, it's like the city is dirty, and and whatnot. So I think that's just this is what kids want, So,
maybe this is what everyone wants.
Well, yeah, but Ninja Turtles, but again, that was different. I mean, that was like it was a comic and it was gritty already, and then the cartoon. I was actually confused when I saw. I mean, I know this is not a review for Ninja Turtles. We can talk about that later. But yeah, I remember. I had read of some of the comics, but not much really. I think I had like one, but I really grew up with the cartoon, which was kind of cutesy. And so when I went and saw the movie, they actually made the movie more like the comic.
Yeah.
And so I remember leaving that like, what did I just see? Like this is not like
Right.
what I remember. And so it's But I think I feel like it's the same thing. They thought this is what kids wanted. Because we're all wearing our flannel and
listening to Nirvana.
And whatnot. So that's what. But think at that time, now I'm in the 6th grade. So while the original Mario, I was playing it preschool, 2nd grade, that time frame. Now we're they basically released this movie way too late. Like if they'd done something earlier, but then it wouldn't have been grungy, I guess. But they could have made it cutesy or maybe even a cartoon. But I feel like since they waited so long and it was really just a cash grab, they're just using the name to make some quick money, I think. Even though they did invest a lot of money into the movie, and it was co-produced. I mean, like Disney was, worked on it. So, but that's my theory. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's just.
I think that makes sense. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, but I left completely confused on what I watched. However, I do remember going back and renting it because I was like, did I see what I really saw?
Yeah. Is that real?
But we've been trying to watch it for some time, and I kept looking, and there's no streaming services on it. So
I'd get it off of eBay.
So I got on eBay, and I bought it for like $4. I don't know if there's better copies out there. It was a DVD version, and it wasn't even anamorphic, so it's still like. It didn't fill the entire screen still.
No.
It was like a letterbox within a letterbox.
Right.
So it was really poor. So maybe it's just a copy I did that I purchased, but yeah.
Yeah.
So what's your review of Ninja Turtles? Should everyone see this movie?
Ninja Turtles?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, see Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
What about Mario?
Ninja Turtles.
What about the Mario movie? Chris Pratt movie, very good. So what? So
okay.
So
right.
now how now let's get in. I want to hear your theory. How is the Chris Pratt movie, the Illumination one, worse than this movie?
Okay. All right. Maybe worse. Maybe I just said that. maybe. Okay. Hold on.
Clickbait.
Okay. Maybe I just said that for the shock value, but. So, okay. I think I figured out Illumination's formula. Okay. Or at least definitely for the Mario movie. What they want is they want a certain amount of, they choose the scenes they want, okay? They say, okay, we got to get them in carts. We got to get them on Rainbow Road. Okay, let's have Mario fight Donkey Kong, It
was just one scene after another.
And then it's all tied together with this loose paper thin plot.
But at least it went with the video games.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
You
Yeah,
know.
I mean, it made sense. You know, the old Mario movie makes 0 sense.
Well,
But, you know, this Illumination one, it's all for the nostalgia, you know.
I don't know if it is, because I left that
Really?
movie disappointed.
Really?
Yeah, because the Illumination movies are not smart movies. They're not.
No.
They're not Pixar. You know, you
No.
can go to a Pixar movie. Well, I know it hasn't been lately, but
Inside Out 2 wasn't that
I didn't get to see that, but but Pixar was always really good about having both. It appealed to both kids and adults.
And adults, yeah.
Right. While anything from Illumination feels like it's really targeted just to kids.
It's brain rot. Just like that terrible, what was it, Rise of Gru?
Well, I don't remember because I slept through it.
I wish I slept through it.
It was, I don't know. You said it was a fever dream.
It was absolutely a fever dream. And I think I say that.
But they make a lot of money off those movies.
Well, yeah.
I think that's the thing is, but again, they're targeting kids. There's not a whole lot of kids-only movies these days, and I think so yeah. I mean, I left. I was like, man, the plot sucked. But then I realized, oh, that movie wasn't for me.
Well, yeah.
And I don't think it was for you.
No, I think it was for strictly 10 and under. But
Yeah.
like I said, the formula that shown pretty clearly in that one too. You know, it's like, oh, we gotta have the minions turn into animals.
Yeah.
We gotta have the minions do a karate, training montage, and let's have the final fight with the dragon. I can't really remember,
Yeah.
and we'll fill in the gaps somehow,
But I guess in some way it was kind of, I don't know. In some ways, why I try to pull on, it's weird because it's for kids,
But
they're
they did
also
the whole 70s
but they're
thing.
also doing this nostalgia kind of thing
Yeah.
on the Mario movie for us, and I was like, well, why are they doing that?
Yeah.
I guess but yeah, I don't know. It was I left disappointed, but not as disappointed as the original Super Mario Bros. Movie.
Well,
but you could say one thing. The original Mario movie had more character. Maybe I mean,
Yeah.
it's like you could see that they just threw a lot of money away.
Yeah. Well,
But
I
on the
don't
set,
know.
because the set design was really crazy. I mean, that whole
I mean,
it was all practical
That's
except
what
for
I
the
was about to
stretchy
say.
machine. But
Yeah.
it was everything was holy moly, that took a lot of money to build.
Kill him! No, you're not gonna kill him. Not if I get that place. I'm gonna break every bone in their body, and then I'm gonna kill him. I'm really gonna kill him. I'm coming! Excuse me. You better not hurt us!
Friday Express to Cooper Canyon is the way to Shuttle to Cooper Union is canceled. Passengers transfer to Cooper Square.
Will you get out? Where the hell are we?
So in that situation, is it so bad it's good?
The old Mario movie?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good question, actually. Earlier, I said, no, it's not so bad, it's good. Or I can't remember what I said. But I'm really debating. Because
When you were watching it, you were like, "What is happening?" And I mean,
right.
I think it was more just the mind blown of what am I watching was kind of worth it to me
Yeah.
watching it again. Although I don't think I want to watch it another time.
Right.
Although we might have to go back and maybe we'll sprinkle some footage and stuff from the movie so they can see how bad it is.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember when I was watching it. Was I having fun while watching it? Because that's what it's all about. If it's not a bad movie, if you're having fun, it's a so bad, it's
Yeah.
good movie.
Well, I think we were having more fun riffing on it than
Right.
actually
Yeah,
there
Like,
was nothing.
oh, this is so crazy.
There was nothing good in it that made you laugh. There was nothing in it that made me laugh out loud, right?
No,
I think
no.
and it wasn't really a good time.
Yeah.
either.
I
You know.
I think the one time I laughed was when he said, "This is your father," and then the giant snot thing came down. Like that's the one time I laughed because I was just it was just so absurd. It's like say hi to dad.
That was at least $5 million to make that prop. You know.
That one
Jim
prop.
Henson was there, you know, probably. Yeah.
Oh,
No, they
man.
couldn't afford Jim Henson. It was like Jake Henson, his, half-witted,
Oh,
third
Jim-
cousin.
Jim Benson. Oh man.
All right, so I guess we should probably wrap this up. We've gotten pretty long.
Yeah.
So final thoughts.
So, I think that it was a weird direction to take with the. I know you're saying like, oh yeah, they're trying to go edgy. Sega's gonna start making all these weird commercials, things like that.
Sega!
Yeah. The Sega Saturn commercial with the bald lady.
Yeah,
You remember that
yeah.
one? Yeah, it's but like looking back, it's just like this is so out of place. This isn't Mario at all.
Yep.
Because it's not like it was cutesy in the beginning, but now Mario is holding an M16 and he's like,
Well,
Mamma
flamethrowers. They had
mia.
flamethrowers. Didn't they have flamethrowers at one point?
oh,
Or there's
wait for like the fire flower.
Oh, someone was like, oh yeah, because they got firepower.
Something like that.
There's something, and they were shooting fireballs. I don't know.
It was something like that.
It's like, oh, that was in the game.
No, oh. You remember when he had the flamethrower? But yeah, it's not like Mario is gritty or edgy now. It's just it's a cutesy, happy game, and so I think now it just looks out of place because maybe they were trying to go in a different direction, and then they just pulled back and they went.
Yeah,
Going
I
straight.
think they were trying to appeal to an older audience whose tastes have changed, and like I said, but I think they failed. I didn't like it when I watched it, even though I probably watched it several times just to say, well, maybe I'll eventually like it. I love Mario. If I keep watching it,
If I force myself,
I will eventually like it, and I never did. And then
Yeah.
watching it again just brought back, I had like PTSD watching it again because it was just like, it just wasn't fun to watch.
Yeah.
But again, it was, I'll say I did enjoy watching you watch it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was fun. But I would never go back and watch this again. So I would say avoid it unless you really want to, see a piece of history. But
Yeah.
again, right now, unless somehow Disney decides to unlock it from their vault, I
Yeah.
think the only way is to go spend about $4 on
$4,
Amazon.
yeah,
There's
something
plenty
like
of
that.
copies out there, but it's going to be poor quality. All right, so I think we're going to end it here, right? Is
Yeah.
anything else you want to say?
Yeah, Mario movie.
Yeah, I wouldn't see it unless you are just really interested in history,
Right.
maybe. Again, it is the first video game movie, as we kind of talked
Right.
about, that, and video game movies have had a history of not being good. Now, I think right after this, Street Fighter came out, made a lot of money, but gosh, horrible movie. The first
Yeah.
movie that actually I thought they did well was the first Mortal Kombat movie, which we can probably maybe
Yeah,
we'll review some
yeah.
of that as well. So that was but yeah, even like the latest, like the last Mortal Kombat movie was really good. So
That was great, yeah.
So they and then now we've got
The
the
Fallout
Fallout
show.
series. So
Yeah.
so now they're actually, I guess when they actually follow. Back in the day, there were arcade games, so there wasn't much of a story there. But now
Yeah,
the
yeah,
newer
yeah.
games are full of story.
Well, yeah,
right?
Mortal Kombat, it's full of lore.
Yeah.
So is Fallout. So,
Yeah.
I guess there's just more to go off of.
But I am extremely worried about the live-action Zelda movie
Oh,
that they're
boy.
gonna make. So
Yeah.
that could go really, really wrong.
Yeah. We might be talking about
We
it.
might be talking about it, but in essence, video game movies have never done very well. Of course, this was a cash grab. It was the
Yeah,
first.
this, any other movies we should check out? What do you want us to review? Things like that.
Yeah, for those that are born, that my age. Again, I was born in 1980, so if there's movies that you think I should make him watch, let me know. we'll start doing that. But he's actually watched quite a few so far.
Yeah.
And right now we've been in kind of a horror movie
Right.
kind
Yeah,
of thing.
for sure.
So especially things that have like practical effects.
Yeah,
which,
we're really into the practical effects.
anything with CGI these days I just
It takes
hate
you
it.
out of it.
Yeah.
It takes you out of it for
Yeah.
sure.
And so I'm looking forward to our review of The Thing. I think that one's
yep,
going to be good.
for sure.
So,
And,
we won't tell you if we
Turbo
like
Kid.
it or not. Oh yeah, and then the newest
Turbo Kid was
yeah,
pretty good.
and the latest movie Turbo Kid, something that's new. It came out a couple years ago, but it definitely has that 1980s kind of feel.
Yeah,
to
for
it.
sure.
Even though I think they did use some CGI and stuff in it, but it was still
a little.
It was done right. I
It
guess,
was. I think it definitely was.
It didn't take you out of the movie too much. So, all right, well that's it for our first, hopefully not last. Podcast. All right, ready?
All right.
Take it easy.
Until next time, let's play some games.